cool with a bang there. So pun intended. So let's get our man on here. Gentlemen, like I said, I've been talking about since the top of the show. Good friend of the show, good friend of ours, reliable actor, good actor, and just a straight up gentleman. Yo, I want to bring my man Rayon in. Rayon, welcome back to the show, my
Yo,
brother.
what up,
Rayon
though?
Lawrence, everybody. Yeah, what up, my dude? Yeah,
What's poppin'? What's
I'm gonna start
poppin'?
off by saying this, my brother. I
Hmm.
really, I always the first thing I look at when I watch your stuff
Hmm.
is how you played that particular role.
Yeah.
You've played you've been night and day when it comes to roles because you've played cops and you've played criminals. So and everything in between. So I'm gonna say this right out the gate, dude. I'm really liking how what you brought to the K9 character. He's very unpredictable almost like I and that's the scariest type of criminal. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because it's like he's sitting there talking, chilling, and I'm like, yo, is he gonna pop somebody? That's the case. So he's unpredictable. I love what you're bringing to the table with that. So congratulations on that role.
Thanks,
Landing
bro.
that role, man. And we definitely, as you know, we got up here. Of course, Heaven Hollywood is here. You know,
Rayon, what's up,
Yeah,
brother?
Evan was good, dog. It was poppin'.
and Kev, and
Yes,
you know
sir, man.
Kev's in the
What up,
building
What's
Kev?
too.
good, man?
Kev,
What's
what
good?
up?
What's good, man? What's good? What's
Man,
good?
everything
Yeah,
good. How
man.
you doing?
I'm
Yo,
doing all
yo.
right, man. I'm doing all right. I have to say, I'm going to give Wes just a little bit of pushback because I don't think C is unpredictable. If anything, his his point well known that I'm not to be, excuse my language, but don't excuse it. I'm not to be fucked with. Have my money when I say when
Yeah, he
listen
said you got my buddy.
when I
Let me
roll
tell you.
up and say where my money better drop in my front seat. That's all I'm
There,
saying.
there you go. There you go.
There you go, right there. Yo, for real. And once again, thanks for joining us. I know you, like I said, man.
Of
I
course,
know
man.
things is probably crazy for you right now. We love it.
Uh,
Yo, check this out right here. I'm gonna throw
yeah.
you a nice little surprise right here. What up, Ray? Anthony is in the chat room
Oh,
saying what up.
Anthony, what up?
Yeah,
What
we
up,
were just talking
Anthony?
about when we cast y'all in Mike's Girl. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
man. Yeah.
So that was.
I'm trying to remember that song we had. What was the song?
Oh yeah,
Uh
it was a
classic.
Jesse's
Yeah, yeah.
girl, but
Well, Jesse's
we
girl,
Jesse's
but it
girl,
was
redid it,
Mikey's
yes.
girl.
but we turned it to Mikey's girl. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was
Classic, man.
awesome, man. That was
That was
fun. So
classic.
I mean, even
Yeah.
even all the way back then, you were playing this character that was just, he was like he wasn't no like criminal or nothing like that. He was just like this, cool dude or whatever. You know what I mean? But
Hmm. Hmm.
like I said, man, the range is really there, and I'm really impressed with what you're doing. I only saw that one episode, obviously, but I know you, and I know how you act. So I'm like, yeah, he dug deep on that. So really, my first question on that is, how did you do some prep on that, for that character?
Well, when I initially got the call that I was coming back for season two, they was like, it was just regular. You coming back for season two? Okay, cool. So I wasn't too excited. I'm like, yo, I'm coming back. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
Yeah,
what to
yeah.
expect. So it's not until I actually went up there and I walk in the room and me and Little Meech is
Mm-hmm.
about to rehearse. So we don't have a script. So all right, we don't have the script. Director Slick walks in and he's like, it's been a
Oh,
long time coming because I've been wanting to work with him for a while. So then he was like, you guys got the script? No. So we get the script and I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is what we doing? I said, wow. So I ain't gonna lie, I was a little upset at first because I'm like, man, I ain't had no time to prep. And me and him
right.
about to rehearse right now. And I'm like, Little Mitch already
Yeah.
got this role locked in. You know what I'm saying? I'm over
Yeah,
here like
yeah.
I'm the new guy that's supposed to play this big role. So it's a little disadvantage here. But anyway, so after I'm done with the rehearsal, I called my coach immediately. I said, bro, my coach Sheik from Sheik Studio. I said, bro,
Yep.
we got to go in. That's all I said. We got to go in on this role. I
Gotta
said, I
go
need you to
in.
work me on this one.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so we started looking at it and started
Mm-hmm.
digging in, man. Doing a lot of research, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually, once I came back for the second rehearsal, I sat down with the executive producer, and she actually gave me the background on the character.
On the
His real
character,
name is
okay.
Dog, and she broke it
Dog,
down for
right.
like 30 minutes, and I was like, oh, okay. So what me and my coach was working on actually aligned with the character, so it made sense. So yeah, so by the time it came to the second rehearsal, I was there. And then once
Right.
it came to the table read, that's when everybody saw what I did, and everybody's like, "Uh-oh, this dude is here." You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, that's
sometimes
what's up.
y'all have done
Yep.
table reads, so you know how
Yep.
sometimes actors just be
Yep.
chilling, just be reading. But I went in. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about all in. I'm
Yeah.
standing up. I'm acting like the gun is in my hand. So I went
Yeah.
all in, and then from there, everybody felt okay. This guy can do it. But
Yeah.
also in the preparation, I was listening to DMX every day because what DMX was spitting was Dog was really doing this in real life. Obviously, DMX was doing it in real life too, but I'm saying Dog was doing
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. I know what you
So
mean.
listen to DMX and yeah, and just a lot of the research, and
Yeah.
I was able to put the character together, and yeah, I was in sync, man, from day one. Um, yeah, I was locked in. As soon as
That's
I
what's
got to
up.
prepping before when we got on set, yeah, I was
Yeah.
locked in.
Yeah.
You
I
know
mean,
what?
when we
Sorry, Wes.
okay.
I could tell you was locked in because
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I noticed right away was, and we asked the
Mm,
question. I'm just gonna preface it like Jeopardy. It was the first thing I thought of when I saw the character. One, I thought it was pulled from multiple people, and then at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I was like, "Yo, this reminds me of God from In Too Deep." I'm like, "Yo,"
mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude is straight up like, "Look, this is what it is. I'm I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. It was a good
I'm from
intro.
here, but I ain't from here." You know what
Right.
I mean? And
It was a good intro. Now on the BMF
Yeah.
documentary, they did reference a gentleman, a dude named, they just called him Lawrence. It was like a
Right.
dude. Now I, without knowing, I was putting two and two together, and it seems like that guy was who we're talking about. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, I love it. My guy Wes does the research. I love it. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean,
Lawrence,
so
yeah, Lawrence
good.
Newell, yeah, that was the real name, and his street name was Dog. So
Right.
he's the character that
Yeah, yeah,
that's K9. And
yeah.
fortunately enough, I was actually able to meet his family. His whole family came
Wow,
to see me when I
that's
was in Detroit.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so they
awesome,
came and
bro.
showed me support.
That's the
Yeah,
best
man.
type of energy you could draw from right
Right,
there.
right.
Oh,
And
that's awesome, bro.
and
You
his
was
son,
fortunate to do that.
as soon as his son saw me, he felt that energy. He was like, "Yeah, man, you was the right dude to do it." And actually, from season one, his
Hmm.
other son actually hit me up on IG, and he was
Hmm.
already giving me support from then. And he was like, the
Nice.
last thing he said before I started filming, he said, "Man, you're Lawrence, so I know you're gonna be able to, do my dad justice." You know what I'm saying? I was like, "I appreciate that."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That
Let me
I
tell you.
thought
Let
that
me
was
tell y'all
very
one thing.
ironic.
Let me
Go
tell
ahead.
y'all one thing, because y'all my peoples. I ain't never tell nobody out in
Mm.
the public yet. You know what I mean? Or,
Yep. Yep.
normal conversations. So the way I was locked in, and this is how I knew from day one. So middle of the filming through, uh, we're in Detroit. So the OG, I ain't gonna say too many names, right? So OG
Yeah. Yeah.
sees
Yeah.
me, and he finds out that I'm playing him, and he looked at me with a stare like, "Yo, I was scared of that dude." You know what I'm saying? And then he put me on what he said. He said, "Yo, when I was here with this dude and y'all already saw episode one, so I could kind of talk about it." So
Hmm.
Cecilia
Right.
Jim, he came, Dog looked at us and was like, "Yo, how many bricks you got? Two. How many bricks you got? Five. Boom, boom, boom.
Hmm.
Y'all don't have
Hmm.
my money on time. I'm killing y'all." So just like what I said, right? So
Yep.
the
Yep.
very first day I'm on set, very first day,
Hmm.
and I hear about this story 2, 3 months down. I walk up to these guys that's on the other end of the basketball team. Remember, it's a basketball game we played in the first episode. So I walk up to these five dudes. I don't know them. this is as soon as I walk in the gym. I go to them, all 5 of them. I said, yo, any one of y'all 5 mother effers hit this last shot, I'm killing all 5 of y'all. And I just walk away to go get mic'd up. No, nothing else. I didn't say, hey, Rayon playing this character. I didn't say my bad. Straight up, I said that I walked away. So that's when the OG told me that, I said, oh, that's how I was locked in without even knowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. So, I mean, obviously, we just saw him in the first episode of the second season. You know, it was a nice setup. Introduction was crazy. You know, introduction scene with the outside the basketball game. That was crazy. That set you up right out the gate. Okay.
Right.
One thing I noticed is pretty funny. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, so this is like a storytelling thing, right? There's certain ways you can storytell without being blatant and spoon feeding people. One thing you know, K9, you apparently obviously he moved. He's that plug, so he's got money. But you always see him. I always say this is a funny thing. You always see gangsters. Every time you see them, they eating. Like it's like every scene you sit down and eating or somebody feeding you. And I'm just yo. I said, yo, that's how you know that they got money. Because they ain't got nothing else to do with their day. But eat, sit down, and party. That's why, Meech was a big partier. After they, when you at a certain level at the top of the chain, you ain't got nothing else to do for the day. So,
right.
Let me go eat.
Yeah. Yo,
eat,
Rayon.
drink. Yeah.
Rayon, Heaven Hollywood. So here's a quick question, man. So after the first episode, we see Meech. He's being persistent with trying to let you know that you could trust him and he could be on. Just judging from K9's point of view, does Meech seem like someone, and you'll have to, of course, we're going to watch, but does Meech seem like someone to K9 that he'll be able to punk or he'll be able to trust? Does he, like, right now, what does K9 think of Meech?
I think, well, because you remember what he did. You know what I mean? For those, spoiler alert for those who probably didn't watch. Should have watched it.
Go watch it. Should have watched the show. Go watch the show
by now.
So remember, So remember, he cuts off Big L's lips and hands it to Meech because she disrespect Meech. So you know what I mean? So remember, Big L to him in season 1. You know what I mean? Remember episode 4 when they meet Meech? I'm the one that sent them. You see what I'm saying? So now for me I trust Meech enough to be like, all right, let me cut. I don't need it no more. What can you do for me now lately? What you can do for me lately is the kind of attitude, right? And then that's when I can trust Meech at this moment. But what I tell him, I did this for you.
I did this for you. So
you
ready? Yo, you said that line, my dude. That's what I said. Yo. You said that line with such I don't know, your face, bro. I was like, yo, this dude, this character. I said he's gonna be a very interesting character for this season. You know what I mean? Just throwing some pictures up. But yeah, he's gonna be a very serious character, that dude, man. That's the look right there. Look at that look.
It was
that's the look.
And the way the great thing about it was, it wasn't like it wasn't like the what's the character in Taken where he's like, I will kill it. It was kind of like a sarcastic, but I'm serious.
Stay serious.
So, I'm cool with you, but know that I'm very serious when I say this.
Exactly.
And that's
like
what makes it even more deadly.
Like I said, that's why I reference God, because that's what God was on. God was on we mad chill. You know what I'm saying? We out here hanging. I'm you put a couple of bucks in your pocket, but what's good? So you trying to fuck my baby mama? All right, I got you. Get up on this table right here. Let's talk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For real. Yeah, no, I mean, I can't wait to see what this character brings to the table, what you bring to the table in that character. I'm sure it's going to be very interesting because I'm hearing that this character, the few little hints that I've heard and did my research, I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be, because every season you got to bring, because well, you had what was it, Lamar, whatever, from last season. Even though he's still, you find out at the end of this episode, spoiler alert, he's still around, but but
I listen. My
you
prediction
need
is
a big bad. You need someone else that's going to be that,
exactly,
either that big bad.
exactly,
Yeah, they need K9 for Lamar. Lamar's off the hook.
And that was gonna be and have that was gonna be my prediction right there. That by episode 5, 6, Lamar gonna get laid out. Because K9, because C gonna be like, you know what? You fucking with my mans in them. I got the latest. I got this. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing. I got this.
That's funny. I can imagine that.
I can't wait till y'all see it, man. I can't wait till
Yeah,
y'all
I
see
know.
it.
So how long was just on that? We always talk the technical here too. So how long was you shooting on set and stuff like that? Like how long did the process take when you and part two to that is how was it working with the BMF cast and crew and stuff like that?
We shot for 5 months. It was amazing
wow.
working with the cast, man. Like, they showed me so much love. Like as soon as I walked in, that was actually before I got the script. That's how I knew that we on a different time now. You know what I'm saying? I walk in and the line producer, he said, "Uh-oh, K9's here." So when I heard that, I'm like, "Oh, this is different energy from season 1." Season 1, I walked by, nobody knew who I am.
Yeah, because you in season 1, you was like, it was hard to gauge what you was in season 1. It was just like,
right,
yeah, because you was on that party, Timmy. You was smooth, and he's still like that. He's very, like that dude that you want to be around, but at the same time, you probably don't want to be around if he's angry.
And the thing about in developing him, and definitely thank my coach, man, because we were just working hard and really, really getting this the psyche of him. Even like when we was working on the scene, and that in episode 1 where we start eating a steak in 2 different scenes. The director had said, "What kind of steak would you eat?" And in my mind already, I knew it was going to be bloody because I'm like, "Yo, he's a dog. I want my steak bloody." He said that. That's exactly what me and my coach said. Me and my coach the night before said, "Man, I need my steak to be bloody." And the director felt the same way. I said, "Yo," me and my coach said the same thing. My steak needs to be bloody. That's how I would want it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, it was just awesome to really dive into character and also just getting the love from the family, man. Like, they saw me doing it. A matter of fact, y'all my guys, man. So I open up to you guys and tell you stuff that I haven't told to no other outlet yet. But even like when I sat down and had dinner with one of his sons, so you remember the scene where I'm spoiler alert again. The scene where I'm handing out the Rolexes, right?
Yep.
I'm sitting there having dinner, and he tells his brother, "Hey, can you go get this something for me in the car?" He comes back with a bag with Chanel stuff in it, right? And he hands out one to his mom, which is K9's wife, hand ones to K9's girlfriend. Yep, wife and girlfriend sit next to each other, and hand ones to his mom's aunt. And me and my coach, I had brought my coach to the dinner too, and the girl Robin that plays my girl in the show, and we all like, "Yo, I do this in an episode." So his son stood up at the table and handed. I said, "Yo, you can't make this stuff up. Like the sync is just crazy."
That is
our minds blown. It was like, "Yo, this don't make any sense."
Wow.
You know what I mean? He did exactly what I did in that scene.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Now that brings up my next question, because that was the next thing I wanted to know was how much did you and your coach put together, and then at the same time, how much did y'all pull from the Detroit scene, especially from back then? Because the Detroit scene back then was different than what it is now. Like, it's still the same, but it's a little different.
And it was definitely different from New York. So
Right,
which
right,
you're a
right.
New York native, you know.
Well, what I more so did, we looked at the Detroit swag, you know, how people used to walk, you know, because everybody walks different than they walked back in the days,
Right,
in a
right.
sense, you know,
Yeah,
older
right.
person versus what a younger person. So we looked at stuff like that. In terms of um the voice, right, to get maybe the Detroit accent, I felt I'll go neutral and not focus on the accent right now,
Yeah.
and go
Mhm.
neutral with it. Not be New York, not be LA, not be Detroit, but
Mhm.
just neutral with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, more so of the other style, the way they dressed, and you know, so every different scene I would go and I would look at the jewelry and I'd be like, he would wear this in this scene, and you know, so I would always think about back in the '80s. I'd be like, when I see the sneakers, and so with you know the set designer, the costume designer, Kia, I would look at the sneakers and we'll talk about it. Okay, yeah, I think this particular scene he would wear this to here. So it was a lot of stuff that from us doing the research we was able to pull. But the only thing from Detroit that I didn't want to pull, because it could have been a choice, right? Go
Yeah.
speak with somebody from Detroit and really break that and really get that accent. But I figured let's not focus on that, but focus on everything else and just make it a
Mhm. Yeah.
neutral accent. You know what I mean? But
No.
everything else,
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
was Detroit, and you know,
Right.
and picking the different clothing that I'll wear, and like I said, walking and
Hmm.
mannerisms too, because the handshakes, you know, so what handshake would be different. I had to look at how the handshakes
Mm.
were back then. So yeah, little things like that I was able to do. I even
That's
looked
dope.
at to get some pointers of back then was I even looked at the Detroit Pistons the Bad Boys, because he
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
big fan of the Pistons. So I even looked at that stuff. So that
Mm.
scene that I had where I talked about it, I was really looking at the Detroit Pistons to really kind of gauge that era more, you know?
That's
Yo,
dope. That's
yo,
dope.
yo, Rayon, Evan Hollywood again.
Mm.
Um, now, as you know, I've been following your career. Like even when we're not in communication, I've been following you. You know, through it all. To when you went out to L.A. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you are now at the point where we always knew that you would be. We always knew you had the potential to be. At one point, for
Thanks.
all the other aspiring actors, at one point, were you at the point where, especially when you at the where you said, were you ever at the point where you were like, you know what, I can't do this no more?
Mm.
Did it ever
Never,
get to that point?
never. And I'm
Never.
you know, I'll keep it 100. Never.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yep. Now,
Yeah.
here's the funny thing is I was like, the time that I said, man, I need to make a little bit more money. That the funny thing that the only time I was thinking about it, I said, man, yeah, I'm gonna look into some investments. I need some more money. So that was a time I'm like, man, I need to add
Yeah.
something to what I'm doing so I could really, you know, make some bread. That the
Mhm.
same day I got the call about BMF season 2.
Wow.
Honestly,
Wow.
I really that
That's
morning I'm
awesome.
sitting down.
God was
I'm like,
watching you.
man, what kind of
That's right.
investment can I do? And then I get the email like, yo, they bringing you back for season 2, which is crazy.
Yeah. There's your
You
investment.
know,
Now,
right?
You
There's your
already
now,
put
investment.
that in. You
yeah.
already put that in.
Now I'm gonna follow another one. I noticed that the BMF premiere. We noticed an old familiar face. Our girl China Lame. What
Oh
is it
yeah,
like
China Lane.
having that? That's been your dog from when we first met you. What has been like
Day one.
being out there in LA and having that person that can go through the tough times with you, knows you, you know, just as better as good as anybody. When you having those tough times, someone that's also another actor. What's it been like having that day one, you know, with you through your times through acting?
Man, real quick, Evan. That first question that you asked me, remind me to answer that after the answer this. Okay, remember to add to
Mhm.
what you had asked me before.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. So now,
Yep.
yeah, man, China's amazing, man. Like she's one of the smartest people I know. Like, you know, in the business, outside the business, but she's helped me tremendously grow and understand the business aspect of it. So now, sometimes when I go to classes and people ask me to speak in front of students and stuff, I'm gonna speak about the business. But I learned a lot of that from China, a lot. You know what I mean? But she even still helped me with auditions. We help each other when we do, because now it's a self tape world. So when I put on tape, she put me on tape. We'd be there. I'd be taking 3 hours. Hers be an hour. You know what I mean? So she'd be there, like, you know what I mean? Tired and be like, oh, right. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Like, if it wasn't for her, man, I don't know where I would be at right now in my career because of just all the guidance she had and just helping me out. You know what I mean? Whether it was just with an audition or a question about, how should I go about even getting a credit in this project? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think I deserve this credit. But like, nah, you deserve that credit. You know what I mean? Like, she's helping that tremendously in the business, man. So
that's dope.
And I definitely think, if people coming up in the game, man, have those people around you that you trust, you know what I mean, that you could be able to lean on. And you know what I mean? There's even times that trying to have it in with maybe a director or a casting director, stuff like that, and she'll send a recommendation. You know what I mean? And I'll do the same thing, vice versa. So, man, we've been, like, it's funny when we out and our friends are hanging with us and they see us like in a room and we're in an event, they like, oh, those two are working. You know what I'm saying? They try to get the next job.
Work in the room. Work in the room. That's what you gotta do, though. That's what you gotta do. No, but y'all doing it the right way, man. Y'all came up together. And I mean, it warms my heart just seeing you guys do what you do, flourishing. I love it. I love it every time. I document it. I do all that stuff. Like, as you can see, I just popped up a picture of y'all too. You know what I'm saying? I document that type of stuff when I see you, because that's what it's about. This business, man. If y'all came into it together, you watch each other's backs, and the most people in the business that really become successful are the ones that stick together from day one and come up together. I mean, look at Spielberg and Lucas. You know what I'm saying? You talk about Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. You know what I'm saying? They came
even
up together.
Didn't Denzel, Samuel Jackson, and all of them come up together?
They all
came up together.
They all came up around the same time. So they came up, got under Spike. Spike, kind of like picked them and put them different places and put them where they wanted to go. That's what it is, man. So you guys are doing it the right effing way, my dude, and I love it. So now, I mean, I ain't gonna hold you too long, man. I know you're doing your thing, but I just wanted to take it back for a second and just be like, yo, so from when you were on Underground, I'm taking you back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Till now, you've played, like I said, cops, cowboys. You played criminals. This is kind of like a more of a fun question, but what do you have more fun playing, a cop or a criminal? For you,
the bad guy. The bad guy.
You like playing the bad. Everyone likes playing
always the fun.
Always the fun one. Now, which is more difficult though? I'm thinking the bad guy because you're a really cool, nice dude. So, but what for you? What's the more challenging? I should say.
Let's see. Challenging. I guess. What's funny? Maybe playing the cop would probably be more challenging, than the bad guy. I think the bad guy, you can probably just sink into it. Because think about it, sometimes a lot of stuff be in our head.
It's true. And we watch those guys.
If you do it, you're gonna jail. But you know what I'm saying? So
that's why you have fun doing that. Because I remember, like, if you take the character you played in Blue Bloods, that cop, you know what I'm saying? He was a real more, especially that scene that you had with Tom Selleck, the legendary Tom Selleck, that you had with Tom Selleck, where you running that scene with him. I think he was just talking to him about there was like a shooting or something like that, and he was like, he was explaining what happened. Like, if you look at how you played that role, as opposed to obviously K9. They're separately night and day. And that's got to be the fun part about doing what you do, creating art, being an artist.
Yeah, it's like even I remember one of the media guys, because they saw 3 of the episodes and they're like, man, K9 is like literally the funniest guy in the room, and he don't even mean to be funny. So like one thing that I had, like, so that scene where when I give him the lips, and then I say, I'm gonna kill you. I improv the last line. So once I said it, it just felt so tense. I said, "Go ahead and finish your steak." So I just changed it, and then the next scene, I didn't do it. I was like, no, add that back in there. So sometimes you're in it and you just feel things. You know what I mean? So that's how it was tense. And I just go ahead and finish your steak.
It's so funny. And Meech is responds like, "Good looking." It's like he didn't know
yo,
what to
his face, bro, because he was happy. Like, yo, man, I don't know what to say, bro. He thought he was getting a watch. He thought he was getting a rollie. Yeah, he got some
gonna pay a lip.
He said, but right there, that's what I mean by unpredictable. It's beautiful the way he was written, and even more beautiful the way you played him, because that character is gonna be unpredictable. You like ha 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 laughing, and he give you this shit. And you're like, what? You know what I'm saying? Because to me, it's like, yeah, it's a sign of loyalty, but at the same time, it's a warning. It's both. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, yo, I did this for you, but that could be you. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Don't F around.
Remember, and you kind of look at the subject. That's only 2 different things. She ran her mouth. That's why I killed her. But I'm also kidding if you don't have my money. So think about those 2 things messing with me. You come with the big boys now.
Right there. Well, that's the thing, and that's where even in the documentary they kind of co-signed. When he met that guy, it changed. It leveled him up. It leveled him up when he met him. So I thought I can't wait to see how they play it out, with the writing and stuff like that throughout the season and stuff like that.
And when you like you saw with the doc, if you really listen to when Meech was talking about K9, and he was admiring him. He was like, man, K9 was gangster. He had the women, the jewelry, you know what I mean? So you can hear in his tone, he was like, bro, I look up to this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was that guy that I wanted to be as soon as I met him. You know what I mean? And had the money, obviously, because he was the one that was going to connect. Right.
Yeah. They're the hood superheroes, man. That's what they are.
Yeah.
I wanted to say one thing when my brother had asked you about earlier about the never giving up and stuff like that. I remember because I'm always following you, man. So I remember when you put out a message about never giving up. I remember that. I was trying to find it to see if I could have popped it up here. You would talk about that because you had just found out that your character was cut from the movie. All Eyes on Me. Right, I remember you told her, and I remember watching that, and I ain't gonna lie, brother, I was starting to well up a little bit. I was like, yo, that's real right there. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, I ain't afraid to say it. You know what I'm saying? I welled up a little bit, but you talked about that, so that's why I meant. So my brother brought that up. That reminded me of what you said. Real talk. You was like, yo, I felt real bad. Discouraged was the word you used. It's like, but at the same time, I know this is the business, and we got to keep it moving. Give up. I thought that was dope, man, that you said that, because when he asked you that question, that popped in my head. I was like, if there was a moment, that would have been the moment.
Yeah, that's the moment I had in my head, because I was mad for you, bro. I was ready to tear some shit up. I'm probably madder than you.
Right. Yo, I appreciate you guys, because that's exactly why I want to go back to that. You know what I mean? Because I love you guys. You guys do your research. That part, that would have been the time for me to be like, yo, forget this. You know what I mean? But that, like I said, I kept it 100. I was disappointed what happens, but God did this to me for a reason, because He know I'm built for it. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of stuff going on there at that time. I'm in, different magazines, you know what I'm saying? Sheen Magazine, LA Sentinel. I'm in GQ. You know what I'm saying? I'm in GQ with Michael B. Jordan. Like, you know what I mean? So, and then my dad is up here. My dad's like, yo, Ray, you about to blow up. And I'm like, Dad, I don't feel it. I just don't feel it at the time. Then, like, maybe it was a week before or 2 weeks before, I find out that I'm not coming back that Underground gets canceled, and I was coming back for season 3. So that's a disappointment. Then you go there, Russell Simmons comes and asks to sit next to you at this premiere. Like, all eyes on me. So you running the red carpet. I feel like I'm the best dressed on the red carpet. You got my agent. As soon as I walk out I get out the truck. My agent's like, man, Rayan, you a superstar. So everything is heightened at this point. You know what I mean? Right. In my career. And then for that to happen, and for me to still be
that's a blow.
Encouraged, you know what I'm saying? That I'll be able to come back from this, you know what I mean? And then now this is the comeback, because that happened in 2017. So what, 5 years later, technically 6, but 5 years later, that happened, you know what I mean? And to be at this point, and everything happens for a reason, right? So to be at this point, I'm glad that this happened this point in my career versus it happened back then, because who knows what I would have been doing with what this could bring me at this point. You know what I mean? So everything happens for a reason.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and you were built for it.
Yeah. My final question is, when I saw you on the last episode of Power, were you a little disappointed? Second to last.
Second to last.
I thought that. Now I thought that character that you played could have did something. Like, I was like, why didn't they introduce this character earlier?
He was cool.
I thought that
the
character
cop, another cop. There we go, detective.
Man,
detective.
I love you guys, man, because you guys always know my key points. So with that, so remember, I was auditioning for Power since season.
That's what I was gonna ask you. I heard. I got my ear to the streets, sir. I knew you. I heard you was auditioning.
So I auditioned for Dre. So when I auditioned for Dre, that was the biggest role I auditioned for in Power. So I listened to, and I got something to say. I'm gonna go. Yeah, everything's gonna pertain to
connect
that. So I auditioned. I'm gonna connect it. So Dre, and I didn't speak to Dre. Audition for Dre. Don't get it. No callback. Nothing. But that day, I see one of my friends who auditioned for a dark skin like me, and we were both saying, "Bro's gonna go to the light skin dude." We already knew because you guys are in the business, so you know how some of it goes. 50 Cent is dark skin. His son was dark skin. You know what I mean? So you know. I'm already brown skin, but you couldn't go to that dark skin brother. You just wasn't gonna happen. And then when we found out he got it, I said, I knew it. I didn't even go light skin. I already knew. You know what I mean? So that happened, right? So now I'm auditioning. Boom. Every time. Audition, man, nothing going down. I'm auditioning. And at this point, the co-showrunner, Gary Lennon, I know him. I played the lead for him in the play out here in 2013. So I know him, the co-showrunner.
Yeah.
You guys know I'm good friends with Notori. You know what I mean? And I had just worked with Dre. What's his name? Rotimi. Just worked with Rotimi on the project that he produced on BET Plus. So everybody I know, I'm like, yo, why am I not in this show?
I saw you in that. So I saw you in that show, man.
So now I'm like, yo, what's going on? So anyway, so now I'm audition. I'm like, man, forget Power, man. I can never be on it. It's my favorite show. I can never be on it. And then I get the call that I'm on it, second to last episode. Oh, what? So I'm mad hyped, and I do it, love it, and everything. And what happened?
And you got Mario Van Peebles. Yeah, and you got Mario Van Peebles directing it, and you in a scene with
Lorenz
Tate. Oh, it was beautiful.
You can't right, and his brother. So you can't beat that. So a couple weeks later, I see one of the producers out here, Shane Stein, and her and I was talking for a little bit. Oh, thank you for giving me the opportunity. And then she messaged me. She said, "Yo, you know what? You was my first choice for this other role that they had that was recurring for about 3 episodes." So I say that to say, especially matter of fact, when I was speaking to Gary too, I would speak to Gary, and I'm not, you know me, I don't look for any hand down. So when I would hit Gary up, it would just be like, "Yo, thank you for giving me the opportunity." And he said, "Man, I wish he would tell me before, I wish we could have got you for this." That everybody has to be on board. So you see, Shayna Stein I was number one on her list for this other role. So maybe everybody was on board for Detective Claremont. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then so I was thinking now. Remember, now they branching off, right? Branching off, and I'm thinking, yo, they make that Lawrence Tate power. I might come back. You know what I mean? Because I see Lawrence Tate. When I see Lawrence Tate out here, we would talk about it. When I saw him and his two brothers, I saw both of them, and it was like, man, they got to bring the cops back. And this is before we find out that they're not bringing back his part of power. But it would have been that one where I would have been able to possibly come back in the Power universe.
Yo, it's and now still so then you still so this is like it's funny because BMF feels like it's part of the power universe because it's just like it's just right there. You know what I'm saying? They're like extended family, you know what I mean? So it's still and I didn't know. I'm like, wow, and what I was saying about the things that you went through earlier really helped prepare you for because you see award-winning actors in like their round tables and stuff. They still talk about didn't get a role and this like they're still auditioning. The myth that these people don't audition that's bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
people get cut. People get cut all the time. I remember when that happened all to me. I literally was researching all the big people. I actually got in my phone all the big people who got cut, and I made. I come from the sports world, so I make that bulletin board. You know what I mean? Material to look back on, like you know what I mean. Like I came from here. You know what I mean? But let me go right back to Power real quick. So and then today, my homegirl Tori, hits me up and she was like, "Yo," she said, we try to get you a bigger spot on Power, but she said, "Listen, that's nothing compared to what you got now. This role is for you right here on BMF." You know what I mean? She was like, "Yo, this is it." You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate that. She actually
they could have crossed you over to Power. They could have crossed you over to her Power because it takes place concurrently right after basically what happened with you. But this is I think this is gonna be I like when you play law enforcement, you know what I mean? But I think this is gonna be a nice role to play around with and I'm looking more interested into what you do here. Now go
I got a sneak attack question. Now I was listening to 50 do an interview on Big Boy, and he was talking about how they're in the midst of working on an 8 Mile project. Now that you're in the Detroit realm, do you see yourself as possibly being a part of that? Do you know anything about that or what's going on with that?
I can see myself being a part of something else 50 Cent done. It does. Because now working with him on Power, working with him on BMF, and I think what he sees in this, it might be from what people are saying, they feel that I'll be the fan favorite this season. So it might be something where it could be like, man, let me use this dude. Let me put him on Lala status and get me an 8.
Well, it's on Lala exactly. Well, you see, like you said, like I said at the top of the show, a good producer, a good director, they have those go-to actors. You know what I'm saying? That they're gonna pull into one of their projects, some way, shape, or form. I was not surprised when I saw Lala, brought into this project. Not surprised at all. And 50 is one of them dudes. He's like that.
I'm not gonna lie. That Lala caught me off guard. That caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. Shout out to Lala, man. She's come a long way. Like she's come a long way from when we first saw her acting to now. Now you saw her on Wu-Tang.
She got her chops up.
You saw her on the Wu-Tang. She on the BMF.
The Shy.
Lala's
the Shy.
The Shy.
The Shy.
Okay, Lala.
So she getting them chops up.
Yeah, shout out to 50 Cent too, man. Like 50 Cent is a real dude. So
absolutely,
he so we see each other in Detroit, and this a matter of fact, I saw him, when we was at the power premiere for season 6, the finale, and I wanted to go up to him, but there was just too many people around him, and me, I ain't Hollywood. It's all good. I see when I see you. So now, I see him in Detroit, and as soon as I walk in the gym, he looks at me. He's like, "I drink a gallon of water a day." So he's like, "Are you gonna drink all the way?" I said, "Come on, man, it's what I do. You know what I mean? I do this every day." So then we start
lost
chilling.
you, Wes.
And
You're back.
Was you back?
I'm here.
Yeah. So now everybody's joking, and 50 Cent is joking. So now he's like, so everybody's like, "Yo, what time you went home last night?" Because sometimes Detroit, I'm like, I'm hanging out. I said, "Yeah, 5 a.m." So 50 was like, "Yo, listen, y'all go gamble y'all money, charge it to stars." And we was dying, you know what I mean? And we would just have fun in the gym. We all worked out. So now we're doing the scene where you guys see me, spoiler alert, outside and shoot doing the head. So he has a headset on, and he walks up to me, he takes the headset. Oh, so we shooting people in broad daylight now?
That sound like some 50 type ish.
I'm like, yo, this is what we doing here in Detroit. And then, man, me and 50 kicked it for a good 20 to 30 minutes, man. Like, we're just talking about just different stuff. It was like we were boys forever, you know what I'm saying? And he actually gets some of the auditions. Like, he actually showed me, he was like, "Yo, I actually get the auditions." I think it was for the shot, because he was talking about either the shot or fourth, but he would look at the phone and be like, "Yeah, man, I actually, get the auditions and look at it." So he actually gets them and watch the auditions too. You know what I mean? So he does, I guess makes his choices.
Wow. Yeah, he's very hands-on with. I knew he was gonna be very hands-on with this project. He wants to make sure that it's represented right and entertaining at the same time. So I mean, he's that dude, man. He's like, he can't miss right now.
Big Boy. Yeah, but he said on the Big Boy interview that, and Rayon, I don't know how much that you and him talked about this, but he said one of the most important factors for him was showing the come up of how each of them came up, so you can have a full understanding of not just the scope of, what the, because with the street, because like most of us know meeting them from the street point of view, like, oh, this is Big Meech, like this is them, like you, like they the ballers.
Yeah,
but you don't.
They was already balling by the time we heard about them.
Right.
But
so we don't have that other perspective.
So they really, really dive in, because these 2 seasons you see us fully in Detroit. Also when I was telling people that day, I said, "Man, I appreciate you guys." They got to give him, telling me you got to get your flowers too, just like we give Tyler Perry his flowers, because with this man, remember this role technically was a one-liner in season 1. That my audition was a one-liner. Season 2, I didn't have to audition. So they could have easily got rid of got a star for this one. You know what I mean? And from what I understood, what happened was for season 2,
they did. You are a star, but go ahead.
I appreciate that. So Randy Huggins was asking George Pierre, like, all right, so we only saw Rayon just do this one scene. Can he do this character like with it expanded? And so they asked my agent for my reel. He saw my reel. Randy was like, "Oh, he can do this." You know what I mean? So if I didn't have my reel together, I probably would have had to re-audition, or they would have probably went to somebody else. So that's the importance I want to tell the actors that's tuning in is have your tools ready. You know what I'm
have
saying?
Your tools ready. And Randy Huggins, for those who don't know, is he's a creator and writer and stuff like that of the show. So just like you said, have your how people used to say, have your elevator pitch. Have your tools ready, because you don't know who you go. And I tell people all the time, have your reel downloaded on your phone. Don't be trying to do no Wi-Fi. Don't be trying to do no AirDrop or whatever. Have it on your phone.
Facts, and we can even take it back to even power. Now, I even forgot, which is important. So for me to even audition more and even get closer, So remember how much people I told you I knew on the behind the scenes of Power? I even knew the other executive producer, Mark Canton. Mark Canton, I got real close to out here. So as soon as I knew who Mark, and that's the importance of knowing people, right? Knowing, like I'm talking, what I mean knowing people is that knowing, right, and knowing who is who. So once I saw Mark out here, I was like, yo, Mark, big fan of your show, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, man, all I ask is just for audition. No favor, but on audition as a favor. So he was like, give my info to my daughter. Yeah. So his daughter, Dorothy Cantor, was really mad cool now. She was like, yeah, send me your stuff. I sent them my stuff that same day. So by the time they landed in New York, they had my stuff ready. They sent me in for audition a week later, and that's how I kept coming back in the room. So I'm knowing everybody, and even though you know everybody, still wasn't booking, you know what I mean? But they're bringing you in. You know what I mean? You just never know. Yep. So now I know the co-showrunner, Gary Lennon. I know one of the main executive producer, Mark Canton. I know the lead of the show, you know what I mean? And Tori, I still wasn't booking. So people got to say, just never give up. Just keep knocking them doors.
Up, man.
You just never know.
I got one more question going out the door. So it's a hypothetical question, but it's kind of hypothetical. But so this is the situation. The pay is the same, right? You can either, for the rest of your life, be the movie star or TV star. The pay is the same. Which one are you going to choose?
That's a really good question. The pay is the same. I would do the movie, and I'll tell you why. Because the movie might be, and the reason, because you guys know I'm not a Hollywood dude. I would want to be able to spend time with friends and family. So with the movie, you can probably do that for 2-3 months, and TV. Look, we just did 5 months. TV is longer. Now, if you talk about being somebody's household, the show would probably be the one you pick to be in somebody's household. But I would choose the movie so I have that free time. Because also another thing, if a lot of people are seeing a lot of us go through mental health issues, it's important as an actor, as we jump into these different characters, is to have the wind down. I just did a movie out in Atlanta, and then I came back, and then I had to audition for something else, and I was like, nah, I'm taking this whole day off. I'm trying to play NBA 2K. I'm trying to chill. You know what I'm saying? I'll worry about the audition tomorrow.
Detox.
And then and then one of my friends was like, you should be happy getting auditions. I said, yeah, I'm happy. But at the end of the day, I need my sanity at the same time. I'll get to it when I get to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's important.
And you're probably going to feel that way when you've done this role. So I know you probably have to wind down from that, because that's a whole another thing. It takes you to a different place, whether it's dark or whatever. It takes you to.
I was outside. Place. Yeah, I was outside, like being this character at certain times. You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. I was outside being this dude that sometimes where I had to be like, man, I gotta chill.
I know. My final question, bro. What's your dream role, man? What is your dream role? I know you've played a lot of things, but what do you sit back and be like, yo, man, I need to play this? I don't know. It could be a bio, it could be whatever.
So remember, I got my degree in criminal justice, so I always wanted to be an FBI agent.
Yeah.
So if I can be able to play a detective, a FBI agent on a show,
FBI agent,
that'll be great. Even a movie too,
in a movie,
a movie, a show, as the series regular or the lead.
Yeah, the lead FBI agent. I got you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna write that for you.
There you go.
I'm gonna write that one for you. I got you, brother.
That'll be the one.
Yo, man,
that'll be the one.
I appreciate you, man, and I always do. Like I said,
guys.
One thing is this, man. We enjoy watching your journey, and as you advance, and we love the fact that you stay who you are, you stay humble, you never front on us. You know what I'm saying? You don't front on nobody. You know what I mean? And that's what we love about you. I knew if I asked you to do the show, you would, and that's what it is, man. I look forward to seeing more of your stuff this season and going further on other things, and of course, you know, at some point I'm gonna be calling you again.
There
We
you
gonna
go.
work
Yes,
together
sir.
again.
You already
You
know.
know what I mean?
You already know. I got your number on speed
Oh,
dial.
before you
Yeah.
go, there's a question. The questions in the chat. I wanted to grab that one. This is probably because he's being a dick. He says, "Why would he send Meech through the airport knowing that they had dogs? Because he probably trying to test them."
Yeah, you got to
That's
test
a
them.
good question. That's from a man
let,
Lock. He locks
yeah.
down in ATL. Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah, yep.
What up,
Lock
man?
Yeah,
Thompson. He's
lock.
down in ATL.
Man. So yeah, he, K9 sent them to test him. You know what I mean, to see what he do under adversity. You know, and Meech smartened up. He, even though he was late,
Right.
he made the right decision. You just be a little late, but you still was able to get me the money. But have it on time next time.
Yeah,
Great
that's
question.
funny. It must have been some sort of test. Like, if I even want to F with this dude, let me see what he did. Obviously, if he get bagged, I ain't effing with him. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Bagged already. We ain't even started.
He get bagged. He got to worry about me, and he got to worry about the cops.
Yeah. That's what he said. He said it would have been a problem if he'd have got caught with that. Yeah, it would have been.
That'd have been a huge problem.
Yeah, man. Rayon, bro, you've been like I said, man. Thank you very much, man. I don't want to hold you up no longer, but
No worries, man.
I'm
Y'all
gonna
my
stay in
peoples.
touch
Y'all my
with you.
peoples.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. We'll stay in touch.
Stay in touch with you,
yeah,
man.
man.
Love you, brother. We're so proud of you,
Love you
man.
too, man. Thank you,
Yes,
man. Proud of you guys
sir.
too, man.
Keep doing your thing, brother.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna be
Yeah,
right
brother.
here
Appreciate it,
rooting
man.
and supporting.
There you
Peace
go. I
out, my
appreciate you
dude.
guys,
That's
man.
Rayon
Looking
Lawrence,
forward to you
baby.
guys see the rest of the season, man. Looking forward to you
Yo,
guys.
we go. I'm watching. Yeah,
It's just a warm up. It's just a warm up. I gotta say.
I'm gonna. Here's my full confession right here. I wasn't into BMF until I heard
No?
you was on it. I'm gonna be
Oh wow.
100% with you. Only because I love those type of shows, but at the same time, I can only take a certain dose of it at once.
Yeah.
So you had Power, you had all the different Power shows, you had Snowfall, stuff like that going on, and I'm like, all right, it's only so much of this I could take at one time.
Right.
But then
At
I
one
was like, all
time.
right. So I hadn't gotten into BMF yet. Then when
Yeah.
I heard you were cast on it, I'm like, okay, let me go, because I knew eventually I get you up here. So I'm like, let me go ahead and do it. But I'm interested now. Like, I watched the documentary first, so
Yeah.
it really gave me a nice perspective of
And
because I knew about them from hearing about them from back in the day.
right. And here's one thing too. What I really appreciate you guys is that you guys do your research. So it's not like you'll bring me on a show and just be on a show because we cool, but you come and just what I mean. You're like, yo,
Yeah.
listen, boom, boom, you got everything at the same time. I love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, man.
we're able to have that conversation about you knew that you saw that. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate the fact that you guys do that research, man, for real.
Yo, no, I know we try to educate here too. You know what I'm saying? We like to give people
Yeah.
that perspective of the whole thing, because just everything from the actor standpoint, the storytelling standpoint, all of that, man. It's just this, most of the people that watch this show are still like in the business. They might be independent, cast, crew, people like that, and of course fans of shows.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like probably like Kevin Hollywood. I know he's gone, but yeah, I've been rocking with BMF since the opening scene from season 1. I've been telling Wes, yo, you got to get on it. But like he said, it's so much.
It was
it's so much
saturated
stuff.
for me, and I was just like, because I was all the power shows, and then I have to put one power show down to go to another show, and I'm just like,
And
so. But now I'm interested. You have my attention. So
yeah, with me too, man. Like back in the days, you know what I'm saying. That's the reason. I mean, I don't got platinum like them, but what I mean, I got the white gold. That's from me.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day with the white tees and what I mean.
Yep.
They icy out there, and they started that trend out there in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they influenced the culture heavy.
Fact.
Like a lot of people don't understand. Like that's why for like a lot of cats, like it's not, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't just like they changed the whole perspective of what of what a D-boy is. You know what I'm saying? Like they took, and let's keep it a buck. And it's not to say that it didn't start from here in New York, but with the hip hop scene and being a D-boy, you know what I'm saying? It's nationwide. Like every hip hop scene got their D-boys and how they rock. Like for us up here was Alpo and and all of them. From the Harlem scene. And then you got, your dudes from the Bronx, and then we had our cats out here on Long Island. And then you go to Atlanta, and you got Meech and them and whoever else was down there. Then you got what's his face in Texas. You know what I'm saying? They influence, but when they came on the block, it was like, yo, everybody was like BMF, like they was those and the thing that really surprises me about the whole thing is that nobody told him like, yo, shh.
No, they probably told him, but he wouldn't do it. He's that guy. He was that dude who just liked to be out front and do what he did. And to a degree, it was some people may have looked at it as dumb, and to a degree, it was smart because it was like hiding in plain sight. But then when it became like he was just gloating or whatever, it was almost like he was just throwing a big FU to the police.
And he really wasn't. He was just being him.
He was just being himself. Yeah, he was just being himself. But yeah, man. So like I said, bro, I know we keep pulling you back, but I'll let you go, man.
All good.
And we'll get you back on, man. After K9 do something else crazy.
We'll see. Man, y'all in for it, man. I tell y'all right now, bro. Y'all gonna be looking like, wow, this dude.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it already, man.
Craziness.
I'm loving it already. I told my wife, I was like, my wife walks in and she's like, yo, because she was a big fan of Underground, and she was like, oh, let's go Rayan. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. I said, yo, he different in this one.
Way different.
He ain't freeing slaves in this one.
He freeing your mind.
Yeah, I said, yo, he ain't. I said he different in this one. It's good though. I can't wait. I love it.
It's something that we do in this season. My character does, and from somebody pointed out to me that they've never seen in a movie or TV before. So we'll see. When it
nice.
That's gonna be trending. That's gonna trend. I tell you right now, it's a trend. That's crazy.
Okay, my last question for you. I know you got to go. My last question for you is what is your process to decompress from putting yourself into, because not only do you have an acting coach, which is awesome to help you get to where you got to get, then you got your own perspective, but then you got the perspective of the family, and that your energies, and I don't mean this in a funny way, but your energies from what you told us is aligning with who this guy was in real, and with the character on scene, blah blah blah, whatever. So now, what's your process of decompressing, if you want to share that, of getting back to pulling yourself back to back to zero?
Playing NBA 2K. You know what I mean?
He's like, I don't need to see a psychiatrist. I don't need that. That's therapy. Everyone has their own therapy, right?
Yeah, because here's the thing, bro. Like, y'all know how much a big Laker fans I am. I stopped watching Lakers basketball, and I started watching Detroit because I need to focus on Detroit stuff. But obviously, old school Detroit basketball. And I didn't listen to reggae. I cut reggae off. So all these things that I do on a daily basis, I cut off. You know what I mean? To really sink into this character. So then one of my friends,
you don't think that would have helped you that way? Now I don't mean to cut you off, but you don't think the reggae scene would have helped, like, reinforce that character a little bit more, or were you really trying to get down to that character zero?
I was trying to get to that character zero, like lock, like everything, just that. But like after a couple months in, one of my friends was like, yo, I think you need to start going back to some normal stuff, because he probably saw how deep I was in the character. There was just nothing about the characters, nothing about everything about this character that he was like, bro, I think you need to go back to some stuff. You need to listen to reggae, then I end up going to reggae club. So I was like, all right, let me go to reggae club. But literally, I come outside this reggae club, right? And, I called somebody, and they got video, they got recorded. I'm up here like, yo, where the guns at? Yo, where the drugs at? Like, I'm literally like that after the club. So I was literally this dude. I said, yo, where the connect at? Where the guns at? You know what I mean? Where the drugs? Like, I was balling out. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, literally in this character. But I went to decompress at the reggae club. But I was so lit that I go back to this character outside. Like, yo, where's the connect? Where's
that's hilarious, dude. To me, I think it's hilarious, but it's true. It can get serious in some fashion, and now I know what show I'm gonna pull you back on. I'm down the line. We're gonna do a show. We're gonna bring on several actors and talk about. This is a part 2 to a topic we did before about playing characters that are, that could take you to dark places. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We did a show about that once before, and we got good responses from that. People want us to do a part 2, so I'm gonna bring on more actors, and I definitely want to bring you back for that show.
Man,
you know what I mean? So you can talk more about this.
Yeah, when my coach was in Detroit, because he's in Detroit at the same time that we was filming, he would say, bro, I was really looking at you, and he was like, I knew you were different, because he just said how I was interacting with people when I was in Detroit. He said, yeah, this dude was locked in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I literally was like, and the whole time, and I think what was cool was I liked the fact that how the whole process was where I didn't get the script beforehand. So everything put me on edge, right? So I knew we've known people to get fired from table reads. I knew I had to make my stamp with 50 Cent being on the table read, make my stamp, make sure that they made the right choice in this table read. That's where the stamp is going to be. To where I'm on set and I go in the van, and then this guy just says, hey man, I'm a big fan of yours. And I'm thinking like, what you see me do? He said, bro, for that table read, bro. And that's what he said. You know what I mean? And my manager we were trying to get an article in Deadline, and my manager got a response back from Stars was like, man, we know what Rayan can do just from the table read alone. So everybody really from the table read knew,
it's beautiful.
What I was going to bring in us, and just being locked in from the start. And I think everything of me being on edge helped. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, the business side, I ain't going to the business side because that's technical. We'll talk about that privately, but everything that had me on edge to where I knew I couldn't mess up, and I knew the impact of this show, and this is where it could be that role, and I can make my mark. Can't take this lightly, you know what I mean? So you put your
you can't
full thing forward.
You can't. I mean, you did a great job with that, because you can't take this because this type of character, being the type of character he is in this season, is gonna be an important character. So I mean, I know you humble and all that, man, but it's a really big deal that you nailed the role like that, because like I said, like what you just said, I noticed it too. I've been watching you from way back when, so I noticed it right away. I was like, that's why I told my wife. I was like, yeah, he's different in this way.
Way different.
I saw it just from the first freaking couple scenes. I was like, yeah, he different.
Listen,
which is great.
Listen, when Mish brought you back those 2 bricks, and that whole conversation right there, I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is. I'm like, this is gonna be. That's why I asked you. How did you? That's why my first question. Well, not the detox, but how did you interact? What did you do to get into the Detroit scene? Because I know that's a whole nother animal. Even going to I seen cats leave from New York, go down to Virginia, go down to Atlanta, hell, even go down to Texas, and ball out a little bit. But going to Detroit, that's a whole other thing, man. That's different.
Yeah,
them, excuse me for putting it like that, but them niggas out there is different. That's why when I was watching you, and I'm like, yo, he nailing this. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And one
he
of the
nailed
first
it.
people that I looked at, because I couldn't find nothing on K9. Like, you can't find nothing on him.
No,
So
you
when
can't
they
find it.
told
No,
me,
no.
I was like, wow. All of the stuff they were telling me, it was almost like, it was, you know, what do the cops say when something you can't find? What they do?
What?
Well,
make
it was
stuff
something
up.
like, no, like it's something that damn, whatever. But anyway, I couldn't find anything on. But one of the gangs that I looked up was Young Boys Incorporated. Those are one of the top dudes in Detroit at that time, and that's where I got a lot of stuff from them. Looking at all those documentaries, man, I was on all the documentaries, and just, you know, seeing how the scene was, and yeah, so, you know, it was just definitely a lot of study and a lot of preparation and being open.
And it's
I
just
even
a
told
blessing you was even to meet the family.
I even told.
I listen. I'm going to, again. Only reason why I'm giving you mad kudos. I got a cousin in Memphis who was deep in the drug game, and it's when I look at Detroit, that's what it reminds me of. Detroit dudes reminds me of dudes from Memphis. They're like on the same kind of way, like they different. They different, and yo, like I said, man, like I said, that's why I asked you the question I asked you, because you dialed in, like you dialed in, like that the small nightclub scene and how that interaction and place, yo, you did your thing, man. You did your thing.
I got it. Thank you. I got a tweet. What was the tweet? The tweet might have been yesterday, the day before. And this dude said, man, he did time for 24 years. I had to put it on Facebook, I think. He said he did time for 24 years, and he was like, man, you believable, man. I was around cats like that. Like, you know, so he gave me a shout out. You know, it was like, I've been for 24 years, man. You know what I mean? So, you know, and that's the thing I had put in the Facebook, man. As when we do our research, and, you know, we try to just be as accurate as possible, you know, to the character, you know, and so to be able to, you know, have people, you know, that believes the character, you know what I mean, well, the real life dude, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's
you know,
that's always that's always tough. See, it's easier when people have like you said, it's hard to find stuff on him. Now, I mean, and I'm not taking nothing away from any other character that plays a real life person, any other actor, but when you're playing a real life person, that there is plenty of research and documentation and video and stuff like footage. It definitely makes your life a little bit easier, you know what I mean? So to be able to have to be able to have to draw from a character based on basically energy and things that you know, read here and there, whatever, a little bit of research, you know, it's a little bit harder. So to be able to nail, and you're getting all of these, you know, everybody can't be lying to you, right? You're getting all of these, you know, good responses. People like myself that's known and worked with you for years, and I you know, I notice it. Everybody notices it. So that's a good thing, man. I think it's nothing but up from here. Yeah, you know what I mean.
You listen, like 50 said, oh, that's what we doing? We shoot people outside? Yo, when you listen, spoiler alert. Yo, when that happened, I was like, there were a couple of key points. And it's a shame that had to be a key point. But I had told Wes earlier when I was talking to him on the phone, I'm like, that scene needed to happen to establish that, look, I'm not fucking around with y'all.
Right.
This is what it is.
And like, and sorry to cut you off, Kev. When you even go back to episode 4 in season 1, Terry said that. He was like, you know, Meech was like, yo, I think we should mess with K9. Terry's like, they grimy in the Brewsters.
They grimy. Yeah. It's grimy over the Brewsters. Yeah. No, but that's that right there. That was a perfect setup. So I'm so grateful. Not only it was you, but I'm grateful that they brought him back, because that was a nice setup right there. You know what I mean? Nice foreshadowing by just saying, yo, man, you don't mess. Quick little line about him. But now these people like, oh yeah, I remember. I know, like I saw like Mark Dark. You know, Mark Dark does a lot of, you know, content on them. He did a nice thing.
Research, man.
He does research. I like Mark Dark. Shout out to Mark Dark, yo. he
Shout out
did
to
he did
Montreal.
a piece on your character. He was talking about
Yeah, he did.
whatever, and I was like, all right, cool. But you know, it's funny because I watch this stuff and I'm like, I know this guy. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, this. Yeah, of course he can do it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, man, and I'm telling you, man, like it's just so much, man. Again, to the actors that's watching, man, every
Yeah.
little thing, you know, like the DMX, like listening to DMX every
Yeah.
day and knowing, you know, certain scenes that I had. Oh, I can associate this song to it. You listen, you know what I mean, and you like, man,
Mm,
this the shit that he was saying, like, you know, and it puts
mm,
you into that mood. So, you know, before I'm doing my scene, I'm blasting the music in my trailer, you know, listening to it and just
mm,
getting in the boom, 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 you know, and yeah, and people were surprised, like, because you got all right, so you know, you got big movie buffs. So you take a look at Emancipation. So you look at
yep.
what Will Smith just said about Ben Foster. He said Ben
Right.
Foster said nothing to me until the end of the
Right.
movie. You saw when he said that?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
was in
he said
what interview is that?
and
I don't remember.
he was just I had posted it the other
Oh, we
day,
just talking.
but
Okay.
it's on
Okay.
IG. Yeah, so Will Smith said that Ben Foster didn't say nothing to him the whole time on set until the end of
Wow.
the movie. He came over and said, "Hi, I'm Ben Foster." You know what I'm saying? So you got people that when they're in these characters, they're not talking to the whole time. So with me, what was different, and I think what everybody appreciated was that before I got into my scene, I would take 10 minutes and I'll be in my zone wherever I got to be. Like, you know, throughout most of the season, you're in my gambling spot. So I would sit down in my chair and just really feel it. Boom, 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 before they start setting up the cameras there. And I'm just in doing my process. But when I come out, I'm able to talk to people, boom, 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 and I just laugh and this, that, and the third. But then you got other people that they're gonna be like this the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, you know, and
Prime
both
example.
the
Prime
time.
example of what you're saying is another instance of that was Jamie Foxx and Samuel Jackson had the same talk with Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo was like, "Yo, I can't say the N word. I can't." He's like, "Yo, I can't bring myself to say that."
Mm-hmm,
And they was like, "Look, we your property. You know,
mm-hmm,
this is what it is." Blah 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 blah.
mm-hmm.
They said the next day he came to set, and they was like, "What up, Leo?" He said he kept walking, like he wouldn't even talk to them.
See,
Like
Yeah.
he gave them a totally different energy when he
yeah,
came back, because now he had the pass to
Yeah.
yeah,
do what he needed to do with that character, what he needed to do with that character. I think
yeah.
if they wouldn't have had that conversation with him, that
He probably
he
couldn't have
wouldn't have
got
gave
there.
us the performance that
Yeah.
he gave us.
And then the
Exactly,
performance that we got.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I seen
So
your process firsthand, man. I remember a couple of times we worked on stuff. Even when I think the last time we worked was on Playing Dirty,
yep.
and at the New York Fashion Week. And it was funny because you mentioned the self tape. You had a self tape. Remember you did that? You had a
Yeah,
self
yeah,
tape to
yeah.
do, and while we
Something.
was setting up and all that stuff.
Right.
You did
Exactly.
this self
I tell
tape.
you.
So yeah,
I tell
it's
you,
just
man.
really really crazy. But yeah, but getting into the process, man, it's a whole thing, man.
It's a whole
It's
process.
beautiful. I can't
Yeah.
wait to get you back with the other actors and we talk. We're gonna focus on the art of acting and stuff like that. I mean,
Oh yeah.
definitely. I like to
Yeah.
holler at your coach too, man. I don't know if he ever
Oh
do
yeah.
interviews, but people like that
Yeah.
we like to bring on because like I said, a lot of actors and people within especially in the independent side, watch our
Hmm.
show. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So we
Yeah,
talk
yeah. I
about
definitely.
acting concepts, stuff like that. We don't give away too much because you gotta pay for it, but
Yeah,
but we like to
for
have
real.
them up to get some things about certain things, especially maybe
Yeah,
even on that show that I'm talking
him and
about.
I could come on at
Yeah.
some point, you know, if you want, and
Yeah, maybe even on that show
no
that I
problem.
was telling you about with the
Yeah,
dark characters and stuff.
yeah,
That might be a great
definitely.
show.
Yeah,
So,
because
we
he's an actor as well, so he goes dark, you know,
oh yeah, that's
sometimes,
what
so
I'm
he'll
saying.
be perfect for it
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
that's it, man. We gonna let you go for real this time, bro. We love it. We can talk to you all night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
'Cause
man.
it's all
You
man.
know how
But
we
yeah,
do.
when we come out
You know
there,
how
we're gonna
we
be
do.
making a trip out to Cali soon, man. Me and my brother, we're gonna come
Holla at
out
me.
there, do a few things. Definitely gonna pull up on you.
Holla at me,
man.
man.
Thanks again for joining us, man. We love
Thanks,
you, bro.
guys. Appreciate you guys. Love you
man.
guys too, man.
And congrats again, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. I
Peace.
appreciate it. I talk to y'all
Rayan
soon.
Lawrence,
Take care,
everybody.
guys.
All right, brother.